What is up, everybody? CP and SJ with you for another week of Every Day We're Covering. As we talk the world of sports, wagering, having a good time, we're barreling down on 100 episodes. So that might be a milestone we have to mark with something here. And actually, it's pretty cool because it's going to pretty much align with the start of college football season.
Maybe like 100 beers or something like that. Yeah.
Might have to space those out over like 3 days or something. I don't know. Yeah. No, I ain't Wake Boggs over here. I can't handle that.
Yeah, Andre the Giant. There's a reason he didn't live to be that old.
Yeah. We'll have some fun with that for sure coming up here. We've got a lot of good stuff to talk about. We're going to dive back into our college football best games of 2024 to still whet your appetite here. We've got some news on the college football and financial front that we're going to talk about a little bit, and we might dabble a little bit into some other media news that's come out here this week as well. But that's all on the docket here for you. As we get rolling, we like to talk about what's lubricating our dulcet tones here for you across these digital airwaves. And I was a little bit boring last week, and I'm going to admit I'm a little bit boring here again today with what I'm actually drinking, but I am going to give a shout out to a beer here, and I'll explain why I'm not drinking more of them right now. But I've got the old Coors Light. I had the wife pick me up a good old 12-pack of Coors Light because I was out mowing and just I don't know, felt right to have some Coors Light. But I'm going to give a shout out here to the folks at Back Pocket Brewing Company over in Coralville, Iowa. I was over there in that region, and actually I was staying right next door to their brewery in Coralville.
That's always nice, yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice, especially when you're hanging out with, corporate guys that want to buy you beers. That worked out well for me. We made a couple of visits there, but oddly enough, I mean, you're in the belly of the beast over there. I mean, this is Iowa City Hawkeye territory. I mean, Coralville, Iowa City is pretty much the same town, but I was shocked to see this can inside of their place. Now, I already knew that they did brew a Cyclone beer. They have a Hawkeye beer too, so it's not like they're picking sides, so to speak. They've got the Hawktoberfest. They've got that, and then they've got one that they call Forever True Blonde. That's a Iowa State beer. Well, they came out with a limited edition can, and this thing is an absolute work of art. They've got the old school like puffy letter Cyclone Power on it, and the old Cy logo with the football helmet, and him carrying the football. Like, this thing is great. I mean, I saw these and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta buy these just to have a can. There's no way I'm passing this up. And so that's why I'm not drinking them, because I am saving a few of them for opening day coming up here, later this month when I go to Ames. I got to have a few on hand for the tailgate. So I had to save some. I bought my dad some too, so he can have these cool cans. But it's funny, I went back in there to buy them the day we were leaving the conference to go to a different place. And the gal was like, aren't those cans cool? Like, aren't those awesome? I was like, hell yeah, that's why I came back here to buy them. So yeah, shout out Back Pocket. Love the design. I don't know if they're going to do the run of these again, but they sure could make some money with Cyclone fans. SJ, what do you got over there?
That's one of those you need to find out how to siphon it out, and so you can look like the can's still closed, but you get the liquid out somehow, and then just keep the can on your in your man cave there, put it on a shelf, in your wherever you choose to watch games, because that's I like when they do that, kind of make it, integrate the, not just, give you standard little, block lettering or whatever, but make it kind of unique. So that's cool. I actually found something a little, I guess it's not quite out of the ordinary, but a little bit. So, I keep coming across these Colorado beers, another, kind of talking about, I wouldn't call that the beast, but a place I don't necessarily care for when it comes to your sports team. Even the state itself is just a bunch of rocks to me, no big deal. But it's a Crooked Stave Brewing Company. I haven't even heard of that one. They do Colorado's kind of when you want to talk about craft brewing and stuff, that's one of the kind of the first hotbeds. So I'm sure there's a lot of other places I don't know about, but so they I guess they have what they call their famous Mexican lager, but I guess it's a collaboration. They did it with the Real Dill. It's a kind of mixed with a cucumber margarita. Huh. So it's kind of I've always talked about going that pickle beer, kind of diving into that. I was like, this is maybe getting your toe in the water
Okay.
a little bit. So no, it's pretty amazing, honestly. And I just was lucky enough to be to a spot where I could. They have a lot of options of like just getting a single can or a couple cans, so that helped out too, kind of. And then this honestly has it has some pretty cool art on it too. It's got like the sugar skulls and the kind of
nice.
the almost like the Dia de los Muertos kind of theme to it.
Yeah.
So it was actually pretty cool. So no, I definitely would, if I could find a 6-pack of this. Pretty good, easy drink, and a nice like I guess unique twist on that pickle craze that seems to be going on. So no, definitely a good beer, and I drink it again. That's have to, if you see this crooked stave, make sure you snag you a few.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to track that down. That looks pretty cool. And like you said, the art on the can, that's a pretty cool deal.
It seems like kind of standard for the collaborations. It's like I don't know what it is about whenever they do that. It's like I guess they want to make them stand out a little more than usual. But I was like, I mean, as long as to me, as long as the inside tastes good, I don't. It could be a blunt can.
That's true.
Which would be hard to market. Don't get me. I get that side of it, but I was like, I mean, it is. True. It is. But in your case, of course, that's something you want to keep. But you got to find a way to get that liquid out of there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At the end of the day, most things it's going to end up in the recycling bin or trash can, whatever.
Hey, if you're recycling, that's all right.
I had actually there was a gal I know here from the area, and she posted the other day. She's been taking some of the cucumbers out of her garden and making some aguas de frescas de pepino with the old cucumbers, and that looks pretty delicious. And that kind of sounds like that line of what we're going with there with that beer. So.
I mean, not to twist your arm a little bit more, but you need to shoot down here ASAP, because there is a enterprise that just opened down the street where they have about 5 or 6 varieties there on the street corner by the taco truck. Ooh. That's just selling the frescas there. Just anything you want, mango, pineapple, whatever, it's all there. So nice. I mean, I don't know if they got the adult variety, but we can make that work. We can sneak a little in there.
There you go. Yeah. It just takes a little bottle in the pocket. That's no big deal. I don't know. That's like I don't know why. Like, why did it take me damn near 40 years to like stumble across like there's other beverages out there in the world that are fresh and nice? Like, I didn't really dive into that world at all until this year. Of course, we were talking about the Modelo thing, so I tried those. Like, yeah, I mean, damn, what have I been missing out on here? So maybe we're getting more cultured. I don't know. Good stuff out there. All right, so that's what we're pouring here tonight. Let's get into the chat here. We're going to start with games that we loved here from 2024 college football season, and I'll start here on this one because I think yours is more significant here, SJ. So I'm going to let you go next. But mine was a really fun football game, and it turned out it wasn't a game, I guess, that featured 2 terrific teams or anything, but it was early in the season. And I just had a hell of a lot of fun watching it. I don't know why. It's just one that stuck in my mind throughout the year, just because it was a good back and forth battle. Now, there were a ton of mistakes made by both teams too, so don't get me wrong. Like, it was this terrific, perfectly played football game, but it was entertaining as hell. It was when Arkansas went to Stillwater to play Oklahoma State. And, of course, that's back when we thought Oklahoma State was going to be a good football team. Didn't turn out that way. They had a hell of a running back, and he still may turn out to be a pretty damn good football player in the NFL, but it didn't work out. Arkansas kind of had their ups and downs. They're a team that kind of could scare you a little bit, but never reached their full potential either, I don't think, last season. But it was a game that went into double overtime, so that certainly made it interesting. And it was a real good kind of just back and forth, battle. Like, one team would make a play, the other team would come back and score and get ahead. Arkansas jumped out to an early 14-0 lead, so it was kind of like, oh crap, what the hell happened to Oklahoma State? They scored a couple of times to get it back within a point by the end of the third quarter, and then it was an 18-10 advantage in the fourth quarter for Oklahoma State. Goes to the overtime session. Eventually the points go in favor of of Oklahoma State to win the game. They won it 39-31 was the final, and that was one of the few games that Ollie Gordon kind of went off and did what we expected him to do, throughout the season. And you look at that box score, and he had a good day. He at least scored a touchdown rushing, and then also was kind of a part of what was going on in the receiving game. I guess wasn't maybe I guess I probably overstated that. It wasn't necessarily like statistically like his big game, but he was a factor, and of course he drew the attention, and that's part of what we knew he would do for them. And then of course that opened it up for Alan Bowman to actually have one of his few good games that he had during the season. Threw for almost 330 and a touchdown. So just one of those games that kind of went back and forth, and for whatever reason, SJ, I don't know, just stuck in my mind as one of those early ones that was fun to watch.
Well, but probably the timing of it makes it all understandable because now especially, but even then, it's like the hot seat, I guess, was at least warming up for Gundy, as hot as you think it could get, and now it's almost seems like a boom or bust type of year, and he may be. I know it'd be kind of hard for them to fire him considering what he's done. You look at the history of the program before he got there, with the exception of like Barry Sanders showing up in town. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, it wasn't a lot to write home about, and he's kind of played there and kind of made his name, so it'd be hard to fire him. But at this point, it's like, do you want someone to be remembered for coaching or a rant at a press conference? And and that's the bad part. Is like, he does seem kind of like a strange, crazy dude. Like I kind of liken him to like a Dabo Sweeney. Those guys kind of seem like they're like similar ilk, just like kind of getting a little bit out of different kind of characters, but I'd rather, even though I'm not necessarily a fan of of him or like root for him, I definitely do think he's a pretty accomplished coach, and he's done a pretty good job at that school. So you want that part to kind of outweigh maybe the antics and the other stuff. So hopefully maybe they have a decent season and he can at least go out on his terms, because not that I care too much for that school or anything, but it's he has maybe earned a right to kind of fade off into the sunset however he chooses. So hopefully that's the case, but it sometimes it's a cruel game, so that's the way it goes, sports in general. But the game I picked, honestly, it was a puker, honestly. But anytime you have the helmets, the Michigan and Ohio State lined up, it's kind of like whatever, the game, I guess, is what it's been known as. I don't know if I ever fell into that category or really paid that much attention. I guess it didn't, whatever. It's a big rivalry. Don't get me wrong. It's like a big deal, but I probably didn't put the emphasis until, maybe it like affected the team that you root for and that type of thing. There's some type of correlation there, but you had the cat fight at the beginning as usual. And then, if I'm remembering right, and it was mostly the off the field stuff that kind of stuck in my mind. Wasn't this when Michigan, of course, I guess I should run through the game first. Michigan pulls off the upset when, who I remember seeing this, like it was Thanksgiving weekend, so the Saturday after Thanksgiving as usual. Mm-hmm. So you kind of jumping around a little bit. And I think I was out of town. It might even have been in Omaha if I remember right, kind of visiting family and stuff. But I just remember seeing it on the screen, and it was but at least third quarter, if not later in the game, and Michigan's got the lead, or it's tied, or some of that effect. And I'm like, what the hell's going on, type of thing. Mm-hmm. Didn't see that one coming, and I don't think I was alone. Of course, Ohio State at that time, they'd only had one loss, so you thought they'd just roll Michigan, be like a 50 whatever to 10 type of game, but didn't play out that way. And Michigan ends up pulling off the upset at 13-10. Just like I said, disgusting game. Like, nothing worth talking about at all. Somehow Howard almost threw for 200 yards for Ohio State, but threw 2 interceptions too. So I guess that kind of balanced that out. But correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the Michigan kind of plants the flag after the game, right? Mm-hmm. And then the lawmaker says, we're going to ban this. You're going to jail, all this crap. So, that's what it is. There was like the little cat fight before and the little cat fight after. It was like the only thing I really remember. And to me, that's kind of like I know Ohio, they both have pretty decent success, especially Ohio State more so. But I'm talking about like on the big level. Of course, they've always been teams that have been like national, kind of known names and entities. But as far as like, winning the big thing, that's been more of an Ohio State thing. But to me, the schools in general have always kind of been, the puff your chest out type of thing, kind of the arrogant. So I don't, that to me, that kind of was fitting as far as like the things that are like memorable is like the everything like but the game. Like there's not much substance there. It's just a lot of barking and like, oh well, we're basically want to be Ivy League type of entities. So that's just kind of how I feel about both. Ohio is definitely they've been able to, and I know Michigan won one too, but outside of that one year, Ohio State has more of a, to me, a track record of like success at that high level. Both good programs, don't get me wrong, but we'll see how Michigan goes because I think there's still a lot of questions to be answered now that all this scandal and all that's passed. And now they have a coaching change, and I guess the scandal necessarily hasn't passed because he missing time this year, the coach. So that's just like a prerequisite now for Michigan. It's like if you're the head coach, you have to get a suspension every season. It's like the requirements. It's a job application. So more we missed some games this year. But either way, terrible game. But just it was more about the outcome that shocked damn near everybody. But then I guess if Ohio State, do the stupid if you knew this game, they'll definitely take that loss when considering how the season turned out.
Yeah.
Take that national title, and who cares about that game? You play them again next year anyway, so whatever.
Yeah. I mean, they have some nutty ass fans on both sides of that deal that would disagree for whatever reason, that they want to win that game more than the freaking national championship. But
and even within that, I mean, that's one thing. I'm not a cheer for your conference guy at all. Even no matter what conference ever that you've been affiliated with, the teams that you root for, but especially with that, it's like I never got that when kind of being the Big Ten as the newest conference is like it was like the Rose Bowl was like so this damn like, and it's, the stadium's fine, nothing wrong with it, but it's like, dude, the goal should be the championship, not one specific game.
Yeah,
like wherever the championship's being played, that's the game you want to go for, not who gives a damn about a parade. Like you should want to win the damn trophy. That should be your goal,
Yeah, no shit. And I mean, everybody wants to beat their rival. We're all like that. And I guess that's one thing that I've kind of always hate about the Cyhawk game is it's played early in the season, which sometimes sucks because you never feel like you get a true feel for what your team became. But at the same time, it's also good because then people forget about it by the time the end of the day comes around, and like you start worrying about the important shit.
And also in the big scheme, it's like it's a non-conference game too, so it's like, I mean, it doesn't, what you're actually going with the way that sport's set up, it has less meaning just because of the fact that winning and that may change though. With now, if the conference title games go away and that type of thing, who knows? Maybe you could get shifted around to another week and maybe later in the year. But I mean, if it's not, it doesn't really matter. But I guess I'll give them credit for that too. On the other side, the Big Ten is probably, pound for pound or however you want to term it, when it comes to like rivalry games and like trophies and all that, they got it pretty good on lock. Like there's a lot of tradition between those teams just because of now not so much, but there's still quite a few teams in there that like have played for a long time and they're in like reasonable distance from each other. That's like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense. Like, like whatever, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa against Wisconsin or Minnesota, Michigan State, Purdue, Indiana, like all those schools, it's just a lot of history there. So I will give them credit for that on the other side.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's what, I think that's what most of us as fans love about the game and why we hate all this conference reshuffling anyways. Like, it didn't mean a damn thing to me as an outside. I mean, obviously, I'm not a fan of a Big Ten team, but like that's why it made even less sense for me to you bring in these West Coast schools. They have nothing to do with any of this. Like, there's no history there. Who gives a shit? And if we're gonna go piss on the games that did matter and get rid of them now because you can't play them anymore because the schedule has to work, that sucks. Like, nobody likes that. So I agree. I love those old rivalries that have some history to them, and you just get a little bit more passion from everybody involved. I think whether it's players, fans, it's fun to have those things. But yeah, as far as this game is concerned, was an absolute turd. Like two teams. I mean, you had one team that barely got to 250 yards of offense, and that was the best. And they were the team that lost. So
I know first everyone loves to hate on the, like why do we eat turkey on Thanksgiving? It sucks and all that type of thing. But I was couldn't run faster to get that leftover turkey watching this game. I was like, this is. I mean, anything else to like take my eyes off that screen because it was bad. Like what I saw of it was real bad,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of I guess that would be the other bigger story besides the off outside of the actual game situation incidents was Ohio State kind of just like
Yeah.
basically not showing up.
Yeah.
That was the kind of the shock of it all. It's just like they just thought they could just like, oh, we're gonna win, no big deal, and like, well, there's another team that wants to beat you on the other side, and coming in at whatever 6-5 where they were at that time, it's like they kind of still had something to play for if they wanted to get like a decent bowl, and then they end up, I know we sat players out, but that's your choice. Go and beat Alabama in their bowl game. So honestly, that kind of maybe lifted them to that to give them a little momentum heading into the postseason.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. And I obviously give Michigan credit. They did the right things and played the right game to win the game. But yeah, I mean, it couldn't be more obvious, especially the way it played out later, that Ohio State had the dudes to like figure this out. Like you got friggin' Jeremiah Smith, who's like lighting the world on fire in the playoff, and like he couldn't do. He did score in that game, but that was the gist of them getting a touchdown was that.
Well, then prior to that was their only loss was to a damn good Oregon team on like a last second, I guess mental error, if you will. Like so, it's not like they that was they're just like one of those games that happen, I guess, and it's like it's not like they're the only team, but it was just like kind of more mind blowing. I guess just to make a little. I know you did your like kind of homer pick earlier, just for my honorable mention. I know you had a couple too, but I'll go ahead and say just because for the most of the fact that it got people to shut the hell up about it was when Nebraska beat Wisconsin to end the bowl drought, and then there's also to me like what kind of was nice too is a little bit of a troll job there. 44-25 was the final, so that was nice. A nice little ass kicking, which it should have been worse than that, honestly. But I don't know if many people caught this unless you're watching the game or in the stadium. But before the fourth quarter, there was a little bit of a jump around played to start that. So a little because Wisconsin, of all the teams in the Big Ten, even in Iowa included, they've been probably one of the biggest jackasses to kind of their fans towards the other fans, and that's fine. I'm good with it. You've won most of the game, so be it. But it's going to come back around eventually, and that was nice to do that. So that'd be my honorable mention. And I tried not to pick too many games, and honestly didn't have that great of a season in the big picture, but just in that bowl drought, and so people had to do a little bit more, background study and maybe watch some tape instead of just bringing that stat up all the time. So that was nice to end that, and then also give Wisconsin an ass kicking.
Yeah. Yeah, like that. That is a good honorable mention on your side for sure. One of the game I don't know that I can't bad enough. I mean, it's only been a few episodes, but I don't remember if we mentioned this game. I know we talked about the Auburn A&M 4OT game, but I don't remember if we mentioned the Georgia Tech 8 overtime battle. Yeah, so that's worth a mention just because it's 8 frigging overtimes. Like that doesn't happen. Let alone a team that's supposedly well undermanned compared to the top dog in Georgia. That one definitely was a legendary night. And that's one of those where you start getting texts from people like, "Are you seeing this? What the hell?"
Yeah. And crazy enough, like just had football camp for the son's youth football team there, and that actually was brought up because we were playing a little game just into the camp. You do a little fun stuff and. We had a little overtime action there, and you're going from just do the 1 yard line, try to get in, and just start talking about the playoff rules in different sports. And college football comes up, and sure enough, that Georgia Tech game, someone said because you start running out of plays. I mean, even these high power big schools, they're like you just start running the ball and hoping you stop somebody else because at some point it's like we got it. You're just going for a 2-point play, and at that point the defense has the advantage really because you only have this much to work with. They don't have to really worry about a pass all that much as long as you can play a little bit of man defense and have some help over the top. But yeah, that was probably a game where they, if anything, they maybe thought about like, man, we might need to change these overtime rules. And the fellow coach that was, kind of we were having a discussion there said he brought up the thing, and I don't know if this would work to me. It's like not the worst idea, but I don't know how because it might make the game just last as long. But basically, you start at the 25 when you go, and then instead of doing two times from the 25 and then going for two, he kind of threw out the fact that you start from the 25, then you start from the 30, then you go 35, then you go. But I was like, at that point, then you're not going to be scoring either, though, maybe. So I was like, it's not like a terrible idea, but then it's like you have to like end it at some point. So I mean, I didn't have a really solution. I was like, I mean, it might be worth a try, but then again, it's like you would think moving it up would be better chance of scoring, but maybe not to the extra point try. Maybe you go up 5 instead of all the way up. So maybe the opposite of his theory maybe could work out. But I mean, I'm not for. Usually the changes in the rules don't go well. So I'm not really like advocating we change when you look at replay and other things that have been over the years like tweaked and changed. And I know the NFL, we might get into later, is doing their first down tech thing now. So it's like when you want something changed, usually it's not for the better, just because of, for whatever reasons, the decision makers don't really, kind of factor in the action on the field or the people that are kind of their opinion. So that's probably a thing. But I mean, I'm not against, tweaking that overtime rule, but I do like that both teams get the ball, though. I mean, to me, you can't take that away.
Yeah. I mean, I think most people feel that it's always been a superior setup to what the NFL has done. I mean, over time, especially. Yeah. And I don't hate the way that it's gone. Like, I mean, I get not running 4 downs forever. Right. Like, at some point, like, everybody's out of gas. Like, it just like.
Well, then too, it is like a very like unique. It doesn't happen very often that you get to that. I mean, so honestly, to me, it's like I just kind of feel like I was like, well, just leave it. It's. I mean, when it happens, it's like a unique thing. It's not like we see it every week. So. Mm-hmm.
Well,
you gotta play 7 overtimes. You gotta play 7 overtimes. That's the way it goes. It's like, maybe we should have did some better game planning. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in a situation like that with that game, like it just turns into theater, and it's just like at some point it's too like you feel like there's some sort of like karmic thing that's like influencing this situation. It's like it's impossible for the two teams to figure out how to score because usually that's what it is. They're not matching each other. It's just like nobody's doing anything. So.
I know it's not a thing anymore, but that game is like literally the reason that a thing like ESPN Classic ever like happened.
Yeah.
Although it's like, I mean, it's maybe not like ideal, but like if everything happens like it's supposed to happen, how boring would sports be? So, I mean, I think let's leave it as it is. I guess would be my final thing on it. But it was interesting because. The fact that you brought that game up and we literally just like came up out of nowhere yesterday, it's just kind of interesting a little bit. I guess that's kind of the lasting effect it has. So maybe that's another positive for a game like that. That nobody
else would remember.
Georgia Tech fan, nobody around and nobody there was. It just that game just stuck in your mind because it was so outrageous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that stuff is fun, and we certainly had a good list. I mean, overall. I think it was like last season was a really good college football season. You got a lot of good moments throughout. There didn't seem to be too many weeks where it was like a total turd. We had mostly at least something fun to talk about every week. A lot of good matchups. Hopefully that's the case again this year. You never know. Your luck of the draw.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, it seemed like a lot of times, I mean, maybe just remembering what I want to, but the games when you're like this week's going to be amazing, it's like it was okay, and then you're like I don't know about, and then so that's kind of like the unpredictability, which makes it that much better. And I mean, I know a lot of people have said this before too. It's like you should probably wait a few weeks to put out any type of ranking because they're just going off last year, and for the most part, and especially now with the transfer the way it is, and people changing teams and changing schools, it's like. You don't really know what you have till a few weeks in. I mean, you brought that up with the rivalry type of games when you play them early in the season. So you got to kind of let it play out a little bit to see what team you really kind of have because who knows, man, an injury happens on top of that, let alone the other stuff. So I mean, I know it looks cool on TV. You can put the logos and put the little number by the helmet and it makes it seem like, oh, this is a big game. But I mean, I think with most of these schools and if the names, it's like that kind of sells it itself, you know.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know if it's a big game or not,
yeah.
and the access and that thing type of watching more games at the same time and all
Hmm.
that. It's like you're still going to get your audience. I don't think you need to do that build up like you used to do when
Hmm.
Keith Jackson was Wo Nellian and all that
Yeah,
type of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and I think you're right too. I think that speaks a little bit to the whole fact of like the rankings don't influence our interest as much. I don't think anymore as they used to, and maybe part of that too is just the nature of how media worked at that time. Like there weren't every game wasn't on TV. Yeah, so usually it ended up being, number whatever versus number whatever that got on to be able to watch. So that was, something that you kind of more so paid attention to because the network was going to feed you that game because, obviously, they're going to go by the numbers a little bit. Now that everything is on TV, I think that makes a little bit of a difference. That you don't have, we're not building up one game because we know that's going to be the one that's the primetime deal anymore. And yeah, I think you're right too. Like just the the matchups. We have the playoff now, so it's not do or die, so to speak. You one loss and your season's over kind of thing anymore. So I think that just widens the perspective of what we are interested in, I guess.
yeah. I don't want to complain that there's too many games on TV because I never will do that. The more I can watch, it makes it all the better. But I think it's maybe just it's a little if we're changing all this other stuff, why not? It just seems like they've never really took a look at the rankings.
Yeah.
Like as far as like maybe like paring it down or doing something different. It just seems like that's like, oh, we got to stick with that. Even when you had people say that I let somebody else vote, or we know that coaches aren't voting in that poll, it's like, okay, it's time to do something different.
Yeah. Well, and we already talked earlier in the summer about how conferences aren't doing their preseason polls anymore for just their own conference. So
Maybe that's
yeah,
the first step, and then next year we can build from that. But yeah,
yeah,
you're right about that. And then, of course, though, somebody that's insider on these message boards type websites, rivals, and all those on threes and all that has to be like, well, I'm putting out this poll, and I'm gonna do these anonymous quotes and all this stuff. So
hmm
there's always gonna be somebody that's got to do that. But yeah,
yeah.
just I mean, I don't know, it just seems like it's as unpredictable as it is. I don't know why we feel the need that we try to predict who's better than who.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're way less shocked nowadays when week 2, if number 1 gets beat, like we understand that that's a real possibility anymore.
Well, it's not the kill shot that it was either. If
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not you want to win every game, but I mean, that's hard to do. It shouldn't be
Yeah,
shouldn't be a requirement.
exactly. So another thing we were going to jump into here on the college football front was talking a little bit, and this is kind of a broad, I think, overarching topic, but I saw a couple of little things here through the week that kind of just piqued my interest, and I think it all relates to the same thing. Because both of us, of course, have been, supporters and spoken our thoughts on the situation here as far as NIL and players being able to get compensated, and we're both in agreement that yeah, they should be able to get their money and be part of the get a slice of the pie, so to speak, because we know it is a big revenue generator. But I think it also there is also starting to become maybe a little bit of a reality backlash on how far all this money is going to go. Because I mean, I don't get me wrong. I believe forever that there's always been people in the background that have been funding all kinds of, their personal money into programs. We know that. But, to what extent and how far is that going to go? And how do athletic departments manage this across their sports? And then how does it intertwine with the university itself? I mean, we kind of alluded to that, I think, on the last show, talking about we've already blurred the lines so far between academics and athletics. Is this just going to separate itself from the university kind of in general? But now you're starting to see some things that I guess I don't like. Like I was sent a story by a buddy the other day that was talking about, and this just came out as far as the news. The University of Minnesota has implemented $100 per semester fee now On top of the fact that they have also increased their tuition by the largest margin that they ever had. I believe it's like a 10-time tuition increase that they went with this past round that was approved by their regents. Now, part of that's just the world in general. Like that's not all athletics. I get that, but when we're starting to talk about the general student being the one that has to make up this shortfall to give whatever athlete money, that's where I don't like that line being crossed. Like you need to go find the people that want to give money to your program, find your other revenue generating ways, or be able to willing to give up some of the shit that you have enjoyed for so long. That was a plus. I get not every program was flush with cash, but a lot of them were making a good chunk of money. I just think there's going to have to be ways to manage this, and I don't think it needs to fall on just the general person that's taking a chemistry course.
Yeah, that's kind of where makes it a little tricky, and I mean, not every school has got whatever the oil baron or the tech whiz, whatever the Nike, the Under Armour guy to kind of funnel their bankroll, and I guess good for those schools that have it, but it's one. I mean, to like solicit money and to be like, we need your help, please do this, please. That's to me that's understandable, because I get that it's not the most it's not like, oh, I want to just donate or I want to do this, but at least you're like, to me it seems more like on the up and up, where you're like saying we're asking for money because we want this.
Yeah.
And it might not be like implicit, like we want a freaking point guard or a quarterback, but it's like, where the money's going for and what it's doing. And so like, that's like, at least to me, it's like, it may not be like, I might not donate money or might be like, oh, this, speaks to me. And I'm like, oh, this is, I love this idea. But at least it's not like where it's like you're a student who's already being well overcharged for your just education in general. And then they just want to kind of pass the buck along and the thing that mostly gets me, it's like, and I saw some, commentary about this, because I guess I don't know if you saw this one, but a big thing that came across, and who knows if it's real or not, but it was a letter to the editor, and I believe it was in the Knoxville, Tennessee, an outlet or a newspaper there. I don't know if they're a newspaper these days. It's probably an online thing.
Yeah.
But basically it was like a guy that said he'd been a season ticket holder since like the 70s or 80s for basketball. His tickets went from like, I think 1,400 or something for the whole season. So they're season tickets because he had gotten in when the arena was built, and obviously Tennessee basketball wasn't like the hot ticket in town, back then.
Yeah.
So he was able to get himself a pretty low ticket and just kind of kept it there. And when he called to renew, this story was that he was like $4,000 per seat now. So it was like a 300% increase and all that stuff. And I mean, if it's true like that, that's crazy. And that's, the thing. But then the comments were like, well, people want the players, but they don't want this side of it. I was like, bro, do you know how much the university made off that team last year? That's where the money should be coming from, not from the consumers or the students. It should be coming from the money that's generated for the whole athletic department. So that's the part of me that people are stupid about and don't understand. That actually kind of like, not necessarily like gets me mad, but I'm like, I just don't. That's where these funds should be going, because that's why people, to me, like the person that wanted the athletes to get paid, it's not because I wanted people going to the games and people supporting the team to pay more. It's because the money that the presidents and the chancellors and the professors and all that the school was getting should be more, well balanced across the whole department, because that money didn't come from what they were doing. It came from what the athletes did to get people in those arenas.
Yeah. Well, and of course we've known for ages too, like we talk about coaches getting paid $10+ million a year.
And then you got, I don't even remember who I was. It was, some old crotchety bastard probably, but there's some podcast and he was all like, Nick Saban's worth every penny of that $10 million salary. Like, how many first downs did he get with the ball in his hand?
Yeah.
He's not worth a damn dime if he doesn't have that freaking, kid that he promised this and that and gave him the Dodge Chargers or whatever car they were handing out to every athlete that came through Alabama. He's not worth a penny without those guys.
Yeah.
So that's the argument.
Yeah.
He's not worth anything.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, yes, you do what you can to retain people that you know are doing a good job,
Right.
and that makes sense. But
He's
to the degree,
talent part,
yeah, but to the degree that we're just going to say we're going to throw whatever X amount of dollars at them, and it's still going to be worth it. There has to be some sort of line that you don't want to cross. Like if you had a legit financial person sit down objectively and tell you this is what your program's generating, this is maybe the compensation they should get for helping you do that, it probably doesn't equal what it got to, in my opinion, I guess. And yeah, I don't know. I get that it's a hard line for a lot of these universities to toe, because even the school I follow made some headlines recently too, because AD Jamie Pollard came out and said that the school or the program definitely over the next, I think he pushed it out for 10 years, faces like $147 million shortfall according to their calculations. Like if they're going to factor in now what we're paying athletes with this new passage of the House bill with the revenue share and all that. So they did things like they said they're going to put a hold on the renovation to Hilton Coliseum. They're going to put a hold on building a new wrestling facility, which, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that too, because like I guess at least it's showing ownership by the university. Like take because that wouldn't have happened before. They would have just said, "Oh, we need this much more money to raise." Like if they weren't paying players, it's just like, "Oh, raise this money because we need this thing," and they would have built it still. Now that they've like, "Oh shit, our pockets are thin. We're actually gonna have to figure out how to budget some stuff."
I'd love to have some of those thin pockets.
Yeah. So
real thin. Yeah,
real life is coming.
It's like, oh god.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I guess part of me is like it's a dose of reality, but for some of those smaller schools, I get it too. Like you're not generating the money that an Alabama is. Like that also makes sense. So it has to come from somewhere. But we've also, on this show had the same discussion about just the events in general. At one point, are we going to make this so that fans just don't give a shit anymore or can't give a shit anymore because you're nickeling and diming them on everything? Like Iowa State say, well, we're going to pass along the sales tax now to the fans because we have to. They raised the stupid things, like they raised the parking fee for this year again for every game. It just all adds up, and like none of us are in a great financial situation in this world at the moment, so you're making hard decisions for fans. I just think that there's this like explosion point that we're pretty close to, and it's going to have to come back to some sort of reality because it went wild and lawless, and that's partly the NCAA's fault for not having anything in place in the first place to like make this a structure. But now that we're trying to reel it back in, I think some people are facing some harsh reality decisions.
I mean, I think you're being a little kind when you said nickel and dime. That'd be nice to be nickel and dime. More like 50 and 100.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, like I don't think that as far as like I don't have season tickets or anything like that, just because of the distance I live from where I'd want to go to most home events. But I mean, for the most part, I've had to choose. Be like, I just not financially feasible at this point without with who you want to go to the game. So yeah. I think I've already been kind of priced out for the most part for the things I want to attend. I mean, here and there I'll be able to go to a few events, but not like I used to. I mean, I probably used to go to, if there's seven or eight home games, 4 or 5 easily, over half, but that's just not the case anymore, considering travel and all that too. Like it's a little different when you live closer. So that aside, but I mean, I guess I'm not saying this to like, brag about, Nebraska and the team I like, but I think you just got to find like the new revenue streams is probably I prefer to do it that way. When they're having tomorrow night, there's I guess calling it an open practice ran by the collective there. The big one is putting it on, the NIL collective, and I mean they're charging a small admission fee, which I guess if you're gonna see, get your first glance at the real team, I guess maybe it's worth it. I don't think it's overly priced. Maybe I think it's like maybe $10 for kids, $20 for adults, and then course, there's a full concessions with it'll be the first alcohol sales, and I know it's kind of seems like that's a lot of people have had that before, and I've always, I mean, I think I know. I guess it's just maybe that old whatever weird mindset it is that is like anti-gambling too. Which once that got passed, I was like, all right, we're getting beer now in that state. So that's just like that same mindset. But I think a lot of the fans are always like, I don't know why we don't sell it, because walk around this place and you fucking find it anywhere you want to find it. So it's just like, so that was, I was like, I mean, I guess it's good that it's, available now. So, and it's been at the basketball arena for a few years now. Okay. So it just got to football now, I guess, but because it's technically off campus with the Pinnacle Bank Arena, so they were able to do it sooner than the one on campus. But I mean, I guess I would prefer that, because at least in that case, it's not forced.
Yeah,
like somebody has the choice to be like, I want to go to this or I don't. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I thought about going. It doesn't work on my schedule. I would have probably done it and spent, maybe there goes my, my fees or whatever. It'd probably been $100 or a couple $100, and then, I guess I would have meet that quota, and I'm sure they'll make a decent amount of money. But even the people with that collective were pretty upfront and honest, which I do appreciate. Is it said this is a revenue stream. We need to make more money to build this, and if you want to get the players, you got to make money. So I guess. Not saying it's like the best idea and this is like the greatest thing ever. I'm just the point of like, I'd prefer that to be like, sorry, freshman coming in that's, basically stretching yourself thin and barely have a, roof over your head. Give us a couple $1,000 extra on these technology fee or whatever.
Yeah. Don't give me. Yeah, I think you're exactly onto something right there too. Like, I'm gonna bitch and moan about the things that are being passed on to me as a fan, but I do think that if it does have to trickle down somewhere, I'd rather it be there than just the average student or somebody else in the state that doesn't give two shits about it having to fork over some money, because that's not fair, and that's not
even
right.
Some of those students that don't like sports.
No, they don't care.
They might have no plans of going. They could be going to. Whoever I didn't even look at the latest rankings, because I tell you what I feel about them a few minutes ago. But whoever they got, I'm guessing they have Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, whoever up there, being like they might be going to one of those schools and being like, I'm here for the science program or for the for the whatever, and they don't even know that they have a football team or basketball team or whatever.
Yeah, they won't. There's many of them that won't attend a single event. I mean, that's
it could be international students, and they're like, I'm just here to get my education and do whatever. So yeah, that to me, that's kind of, I don't know, it's just a little like bush league, and the thing is, like, I guess a lot of times this stuff gets passed on and no one really says anything about it. So I guess you just assume that's like the par for the course. So that, I suppose that you want to look at the bad side of, like, social media and internet, journalism, if you want to call it that. The good side is a lot more stuff does get out, but like people sending out like, oh, I'm getting charged this all of a sudden. And that. So that's the good side of more of a awareness for this stuff. Because
more transparency.
I mean, I just, even like with kids now, it's like, God, could you imagine? They know their grades before the freaking ink hits the pen. I just remember waiting in the mailbox. You're like, I think I did good, but I don't know. Like, you just that freaking nervous energy where you're like, oh God, I hope I didn't blow the final or whatever. And your report card hits the mailbox, and I'll get the mail today.
When Tommy Boy had to go to the classroom and look on the wall and the printed, I should don't have no more.
Could you? I mean, I don't. Whatever, it is what it is, because it was always by like, your student ID number.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like posting grades, like you would not get away with that shit these days.
No,
that's a lawsuit, and you'd be like, you're freaking like whatever, like my mental health is affected. There's no way you could post a grade sheet. There's no way.
Yeah, you're right. You're so right. It's a wild. I don't know. It's a wild deal. I don't. Like I said, I think some of it's going to be like it's both ways. Like, universities have to become, like you said, creative, find ways to make revenue. If that's selling booze in the stadium, then go for it. Like, do I think some of that stuff at the end of the day is a great scenario, like just civilization wise? Probably not. But the thing that I've always hated about it is when you're picking and choosing too, because that's been the scenario I've seen at some places, like, oh, this part of the stadium can have it, but these people can't. Like, oh, so we're going to start making classes inside the stadium.
Yeah, and that's I mean that's part of it too. Like make it worth you, make it and have a stadium that has good Wi-Fi and comfortable seats
Mm-hmm.
and adequate parking, and you better have everything if you're gonna want to that's the biggest issue with, I guess, in general. It's like you seem like you're paying more for everything, but the service doesn't match that.
Yeah, it ain't getting better. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot to be sorted out there, but I think it's partly that, like being creative, and then it's partly some of this stuff's going to come back to reality a little bit too, on as far as how much we think we're going to put into all this too. That's not going to last forever. There might be a few people that are hot on the checkbook right now, but are they going to do it 10 years from now? I don't know. I don't see it happening.
Well, I mean, I just mentioned briefly those, whatever the big wigs, the oil people, and etc. But if there's not a, success on the field to follow that investment, that money's going to dry up real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Or if the stock market takes a sudden turn and they ain't making as much money anymore, I'm like, oh, sorry, I can't write it this year. And
I mean, rich people didn't get rich by just giving money away. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. Interesting confluence of worlds, I guess, that we're getting into sports now here these days. Another topic we wanted to touch on here real quick was we kind of alluded to this earlier, but the influence of technology on sports. We got our first taste, of course. Well, first off, welcome back football. We did enjoy having a football game, even though it was absolute trash on Thursday night. But it was good just to see people out there playing the game.
That's what I mean. To me, that's the whole reason they came with the uniform deal, because most of those Thursday night games aren't worth a damn anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, you got to have that bullshit Prime to watch them.
Yeah, exactly. We're making deals you got to figure out. But they debuted the new technology as far as the first down marker is concerned. It's in a digital form. Got a lot of mixed reviews from the folks, as you would expect on the old interwebs. But you said this before, and I didn't even think of it. But it's a perfect analogy, SJ. It's exactly like how tennis does it. When you see the graphic, and it's just basically an animation that shows you, oh, this is where the ball landed, and that's what it was. It's a big picture of the field. This is where the line is. This is where the ball is. Is it a first down? Obviously, we live in a world of a lot of beliefs and not beliefs in news entities and reality and
fake news.
Yeah, fake news. The conspiracy. That's what I was looking for. Conspiracy, folks. That's going to come up. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look great. No, but is it probably what the people wanted to have happen? Maybe. Are we trusting it? I don't know. It's definitely an interesting wrinkle.
Yeah, that was the thing to me. Is just like, I mean, I guess I just need, and I don't even feel like I'm a conspiracy type of person, but I'm like, how do we know that's like actually? It just seems kind of a little bit too animated to be like for people just to be like, okay, that must be where the ball is. And maybe it'll get better and go on. I'm glad they're using technology to get it right. It just felt weird that I don't know. Like, I thought it'd be a little bit different. Like maybe some type of like, I don't know, if like a laser on the field or something, but it was almost just like it was literally just like a cartoon animated graphic.
Yeah. I guess the thing that I didn't understand is why can't we actually just show the field? Like, is there not?
That was
just like put a camera and then show the line. I mean, we all know the line's fake anyways. Like, I don't know. I mean, most of the time we were deciding it on our own by just looking at the fake line that TV put on it. And they'd always, of course, give the caveat, this isn't official.
Right.
But yeah, do that. I don't know.
It just seems like that's going to be one of those things where it's like we're doing it now, and then week 3, 4, 5 in the season, it just goes away magically. Like we're going to be watching offensive pass interference better this year, and then they call it for like a week or two, and then it just goes away. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, of course, all for getting the spot as close as you can, but it's just that's damn near impossible for in some instances when you're going to let the tush push and those type of things go on. Mm-hmm. It's hard to know exactly where the ball is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the biggest.
I mean, unless you lay it down, but then they probably say, "Oh, it's a fumble." Watch replay. So like, I don't.
Yeah, and obviously, of course, you're going to have you're gonna have your faction of like the old school guys that are never gonna accept something like that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, bring the chain gang back. What the hell is this?
Well, let's say what the hell is the forward pass with those guys? Like,
yeah. So I don't know. It's definitely an interesting deal. Speaking of technology and I guess coverage, it is now official what we talked about last time on the program. The deal between the NFL and ESPN has been signed. So basically, it's what we talked about last time. ESPN is going to run the NFL Network, NFL Red Zone entities for the NFL in exchange for the NFL owning part of ESPN's worth. Just kind of a partnership type of deal, what we expected. So no real surprises, I don't think. Maybe there'll be more details that come out that we might find some wrinkles here and there that are intriguing, or somebody's going to dig into that contract and find some weird language. But definitely kind of what we expected, I guess, to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's still probably a lot to be ironed out, but at least it's moving forward. I'm for ESPN's good quality when it comes to like production and all that. Like they're going to do a good job as far as that goes. To just be probably the thing that's I guess worrisome is be the host and who's going to do that type of thing. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yep. So that's that on that front. Just one quick hitter before we leave you. We do have some other topics I think we're going to put in the hopper here for next time around as far as some media news is concerned. But there was one little blip, and this is just kind of a funny, intriguing gambling story. There was a story that came out about Gilbert Arenas, I guess, being under the crossfire hairs of some legal situations because he was hosting some high-stakes poker nights apparently at his residence, and involved many, of course, like wealthy or famous people or whatever. And I guess I guess we're both of kind of the opinion of okay.
He's the only one to ever do this in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's ever played poker for money before, whether it be at the fucking tavern down the street or in somebody's mansion, like whatever. The stakes get higher, but does it really matter? I mean, they're taking each other's money. This isn't like a we're stealing from somebody thing.
I guess the thing that kind of just got stuck out to me is like a legal gambling ring, like it's some orchestrated, like some big deal. It's like they're just playing poker. Like, of course it's technically illegal, but good God, I mean, got enough other illegal things going on where we're taking people's names off of files and all that type of stuff. This is the least of the worries, I would think.
Well, and they brought up, I didn't read the whole story, but they brought up like some Israeli mobster or whatever, somebody's involved in some sort of crime ring that was playing in these games, but that's a whole other deal, and I'm sure most of those guys didn't even give a shit about that part of it. They're just like, oh, this guy's got money and he's gonna come play and I could win some of it. Like
maybe should have gave some to some of those college NIL funds.
Exactly. Yeah, this is where that money needs to come from.
He's a tax write-off.
Exactly. Yeah, let's start allowing some of those guys to have like maybe let's make them televised high stakes gambling, and all the money goes to NIL.
ESPN, how much money has ESPN made off of the World Series of Poker? Yeah, but that's not illegal for some reason. But I mean, I'm not really. I don't know if you caught the Netflix deal they had, but I'm a big fan of Gilbert Arenas. He seems like kind of a dumbass, but I just don't think it's a little bit overblown as most things. Like you want to put gambling ring and just like put a bad name on it. That's kind of seems like was the point of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. So yeah, the little wrinkle in the kind of related, I guess, to the stuff that we touch on a lot. I think we're both in agreement that a lot of those things are very different worlds, the different types of gambling. So that is what it is. That's what we had on our slate here for you this week. We hope that you like, subscribe, share the podcast wherever you may enjoy taking them in. Available on all the major platforms, including our host at Spotify. If you do want to interact with us, we're always welcome to that. We're available for you on Twitter at SJMBets, at CherokeeCP. I'm still waiting for the day that Mr. Beast takes the platform back over, but We'll get there eventually. And then also, of course, if you would like to like, subscribe, and get the notifications on our YouTube channel, we'd appreciate that as well. Lots of videos pumping out there for you. We're going to have something for you there as well now, essentially, if you go look at it, for talking about season previews of our favorite teams in college football. We've got some other fun stuff. I've been teasing this here for a while too, but it is coming. We're going to have something a little wrinkled, something different in there for you too. It kind of relates to stuff that we always talk about. So make sure that you're paying attention and get those notifications so you don't miss that. We would appreciate that. That's going to wind it down for us here for you this week on Everyday We're Covering. That's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. We'll see you next time for some more covers.